Capricorn, what if I told you that your silence was never emptiness? That the reason you felt overlooked, passed by, or misunderstood wasn't because you lacked power, but because heaven was hiding it. There is something sacred inside of you that most people never saw, and yet it has been there all along. Not a weakness, not a flaw, but a divine fire. A fire God Himself buried deep within your soul, not to punish you, but to protect you. This fire is blue. A color not of this world. A flame that burns silently, that doesn't consume, but transforms. And now, Capricorn, listen carefully, because that fire is no longer asleep. It's not hiding anymore. It's awakening. And what's about to rise from inside of you will shake the very air around you. This message is not for the crowd. It's for the chosen few. For the ones who kept walking when no one believed in them. For the ones who carried burdens in silence, while others laughed. For the ones who refused to die in the fire because deep inside, they were the fire. Capricorn, this is the moment the heavens have been waiting for you to remember. God never took your power away. He hid it in blue fire for this exact moment. And now, you must ask yourself, what would happen if I stop shrinking? What would happen if I finally let this fire speak? Because by the end of this message, you won't just understand the meaning of the blue fire. You'll become it. Stay with me, Capricorn. The chapter you were born to write begins right now. Part 1. Why God hid your power. Capricorn, there were seasons in your life when you felt invisible. You prayed and heard nothing. You tried and were met with silence. You showed up, gave your best, and still the doors didn't open. People passed you by. Some didn't even notice you were there. But here's the truth no one told you. That wasn't rejection. That was protection. That wasn't punishment. That was sacred preparation. Because the kind of power God placed inside you, it's not meant for casual eyes. It's not the type of flame that flickers and fades. It is blue fire, a divine force, sacred and ancient, burning not to destroy, but to transform. And that kind of fire, it must be hidden before it can be revealed. You weren't forgotten, Capricorn. You were covered. You were kept in the shadows because the light in you was never meant to be handled by those who couldn't see its value. God didn't take your power. He hid it. Not to break you, but to build you. Not to silence you, but to strengthen you. Not to punish, but to prepare. Think about it. Diamonds don't form on the surface. They're hidden, pressed, protected. Because anything that holds lasting value must first survive lasting pressure. So God let you walk through fire not to burn you, but to prove that you are the fire. He allowed you to be overlooked not because you weren't ready, but because they weren't. He let people misread your silence, mistaking it for weakness. But heaven always knew, your silence was strength in disguise. You've been asking, why didn't they see me? Maybe the better question is, why did God keep me hidden? And now you know. Because early exposure would have ruined what He was refining. If the world had seen your power too soon, they would have tried to name it, own it, distort it, or steal it. So instead, God whispered, wait. Every time you felt left behind, He was pulling you deeper. Every time you felt alone, He was training your spirit in silence. Every night you cried, your soul was expanding, stretching, strengthening. Not all delay is denial. Some delay is divine protection. Capricorn, what you endured wasn't meaningless. It was coded with purpose. Because what's waking up inside of you now is not ordinary. And it cannot be rushed. It cannot be handed out. It must be earned through surrender, silence, and survival. That's what you've done. You've survived. You've endured. You've grown in ways the world could not measure. Now, the fire is rising. And what was once hidden will soon be undeniable. Life lesson. Silence is not the absence of power, it's the womb of it. Being hidden doesn't mean you were forgotten. It means heaven was guarding what hell couldn't touch. You were not being delayed. You were being developed. And the season of hiding is over. Part 2. What is the blue fire inside you? Capricorn, it's time you understand what's been burning inside of you all along, even when you couldn't name it. The blue fire is not just a metaphor. It's a spiritual code. It is the divine signature stamped into your soul before you ever took your first breath. This fire is unlike anything the world can touch or define. It doesn't come from your talent. It doesn't come from your education. It doesn't even come from your hard work, though you've done more than your share. The blue fire is who you are when everything else is stripped away. It is the stillness that remains after the storm. It is the knowing you carry even when no one believes in you. It is the invisible force that kept your soul standing when everything around you said you should have fallen. This fire is not loud. It doesn't beg for attention. It doesn't perform. It just burns. It burns through fear. It burns through betrayal. It burns through every false label others placed on you. It burns without destroying because its purpose is not to consume, but to awaken. Blue is not an accident. It is the color of clarity, of calmness, of divine intelligence. It is the color of the ocean, deep, vast, mysterious. It is the color of the sky, expansive, untouchable, eternal. And that's what you are, Capricorn. Your soul is an ocean. Your spirit is sky. You were never meant to be small, explainable, or safe. You were meant to carry blue fire, a sacred energy that doesn't break under pressure, it becomes pressure. An energy that doesn't shout, but shifts the atmosphere without a word. That's why people come to you when they're in crisis. That's why strangers feel like they can open up to you without knowing why. That's why you sense when something is wrong before anyone says a word. Because your fire doesn't burn in your hands. It burns in your presence. It's in the way you see, the way you stand, the way you don't flinch even when the world shakes. And you've probably spent most of your life trying to figure out why you're so different. Why you don't fit in. Why people come and go. Why your path has been harder, longer, quieter. Here's why. Because you were never here to blend in. You were never created to match their energy. You were born to change it. The blue fire inside of you was never meant to stay contained. It's been hidden not to stay silent, but to ignite when the moment is right. That moment is now. Life lesson. Your difference is not a flaw. It's evidence. The very things that made you feel out of place were clues that your soul was never meant to follow the crowd. The blue fire within you is not here to entertain. It's here to elevate. And Capricorn, when you finally stop trying to dim it, control it, or explain it, you'll realize this fire was never too much. It was always just waiting for your permission to burn. Part 3. Signs that your blue fire is awakening. Capricorn, the blue fire inside you doesn't awaken all at once. It doesn't explode with fireworks. It stirs. It whispers. And then, it shifts everything around you without permission. The first sign your blue fire is awakening, your tolerance for anything fake starts to vanish. What used to be okay suddenly feels unbearable. Shallow conversations drain you. Small-minded energy irritates you. Pretending exhausts you. You can no longer sit in spaces where your soul is shrinking. And here's the part that surprises most Capricorns. This awakening often begins with a sense of loss. Suddenly, things start falling apart, relationships shift, friendships end, jobs feel empty, routines feel lifeless. But that's not destruction. That's clearance. Heaven is making room. Your blue fire cannot live in environments that were built to keep you small. It cannot breathe in spaces that suffocate your truth. Another sign? You begin hearing yourself louder than the world. The voice inside gets stronger. You know when something is wrong even if it looks perfect on the outside. You know when something is right even if no one else agrees. This is not just intuition. This is divine alignment. The fire inside you is tuning your spirit to frequencies you used to ignore. And then there's the mirror. You start to look at yourself differently. Not with arrogance. Not with shame. But with quiet recognition. I've been through hell, and I'm still standing. There is something in me no one could kill. This knowing doesn't need to be shouted. It hums beneath your ribs. It pulses through your chest. It moves through your spine like a current of divine truth. People may ask what changed. And the answer is simple. You remembered who you are. You remembered that survival wasn't luck. That silence wasn't weakness. That every tear you cried was watering a seed you didn't even know was buried. And now that seed is breaking through the surface. The fire is rising. Even your energy changes. You enter a room and things feel different. You speak and people pause. You say less, but it means more. Because your words are no longer empty. They are backed by fire, not from your throat, but from your soul. Capricorn, you might feel more emotional during this time. That's because the layers are peeling back. Not just to reveal who you are, but to burn away who you were never meant to be. And yes, people may leave. They won't understand the new version of you, the fire bearer. Let them go. They were never meant to walk through the flame with you. They were only meant to witness your glow from a distance. Life lesson. When your blue fire begins to rise, your world will shift, not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're finally doing something true. Losing what was never real is the price of becoming who you really are. Let what falls, fall. Let what stays, stay. The fire knows. And it only keeps what can rise with you. Part 4. How to activate your blue fire in real life. Capricorn, awareness is only the beginning. Recognizing the blue fire inside of you is powerful. But if you never activate it, it remains a sleeping gift. And heaven didn't place that fire in you just to keep it buried. It was meant to be lived, used, walked in, spoken through. So how do you activate the blue fire in your real life? Not just spiritually, but practically? The answer begins with a single word: alignment. This fire doesn't awaken through force. It doesn't come from hustle or performance. It rises when you begin aligning your spirit, your choices, your words, and your energy with the truth of who you are. Let's go deeper. 1. Speak truth even when it costs you comfort. Your blue fire thrives in honesty. It chokes in the presence of pretense. Every time you say what you truly feel, even if your voice shakes, you're fanning the flames of your power. That conversation you've been avoiding. That boundary you keep softening to keep the peace. That silent yes you give when you really mean no. It's time to stop. The blue fire inside you was never meant to serve lies. It was built for truth. 2. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Not everyone should have access to your energy. Not every argument is worth your words. Not every invitation deserves your presence. You are not obligated to carry chaos even if it's familiar. Your fire cannot burn clearly in the middle of emotional clutter. Clear the space. Not out of cruelty, but out of clarity. 3. Trust divine timing, not your fears. Capricorn, your gift is timeless. But your mind is trained to chase deadlines. You think, if it doesn't happen by this date, I've failed. But your blue fire isn't moved by clocks. It moves by divine alignment. Doors open when you're ready, not when you're anxious. So breathe. Let go of the panic. Stop trying to control outcomes. The more you trust the process, the more powerful your fire becomes. 4. Use your voice, not just to speak, but to heal. Your voice is not just sound. It's a spiritual instrument. When you speak with fire, your words reach deeper. They calm storms. They wake the dead parts of others. They soften hardened hearts. That is not random. That is legacy. And don't just speak for others. Speak to yourself. Affirm out loud. I am no longer waiting to be chosen. I already carry what I need. Your blue fire responds to declarations. Your words create atmosphere. Use them wisely. 5. Stop dimming your light to make others feel safe. This is one of the hardest lessons for Capricorn. You've always been the strong one, the calm one, the capable one. But in trying to hold everyone else together, you've learned to shrink yourself, to avoid intimidating others, to keep things smooth, to not be too much. That ends now. Because dimming your fire doesn't help anyone. It only delays your becoming. Life lesson. The blue fire within you cannot be activated through fear, guilt, or silence. It rises through truth, peace, timing, voice, and courage. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. When you live in alignment with what God placed inside you, You become unstoppable not because you're loud, but because you're real. And real burns forever. Part 5. The impact of your blue fire on others. Capricorn, when your blue fire awakens, it doesn't just change you. It begins to shape the atmosphere around you. You won't need to announce your power. You won't need to defend it. It will speak for itself. This fire doesn't need applause. It doesn't need validation. It moves through your presence like a quiet storm, steady, undeniable, and unshakable. The first thing people notice: peace. Your energy starts calming rooms before you even speak. Conversations slow down. Tension softens. People don't always understand what's happening, but they feel it. They feel safer around you. Not because you have all the answers, but because your presence tells the truth, even in silence. You become a mirror, a compass, a light in places others are still trying to escape from. Capricorn, think back to the people who told you, "I don't know why, but I always feel better after talking to you. You helped me more than you realize. I didn't say it, but you saved me." That wasn't just kindness. That was your blue fire doing what it was born to do. And the deeper you walk in it, the more invisible chains you start breaking without even realizing it. People heal in your presence because your spirit doesn't judge. It just sees. It sees the pain, the fear, the armor, and it invites people to take it off. But your impact goes beyond comfort. You awaken destiny. The way you carry yourself, your consistency, your discernment, your grace under pressure shows others what it means to stand in quiet authority. Without preaching, you teach. Without trying, you lead. Without needing a title, you walk with influence. People start to change just by being near you. They question their habits. They reevaluate their choices. They wonder, what is it about you? And the answer is simple: your fire is now visible. And here's the deeper truth. Your blue fire was never just for you. It's generational. It's ancestral. It is the torch passed down through lifetimes, carried by those strong enough to walk alone, to rise from the ashes, and to guide others out of darkness. Capricorn, your life will become a message. Your voice will open doors, not only for you, but for those coming behind you. Your decisions will plant seeds. Your survival will become a roadmap. Your scars will shine as instructions for others who are still bleeding. And you won't need to prove anything, because people will feel it in their bones. This one has been through it, and came back holy. Life lesson. You weren't just chosen to carry fire. You were chosen to become fire so others could find their way back to themselves. The most powerful transformations don't happen on stages. They happen in the quiet presence of someone who has become the flame. And Capricorn, that someone, is you. Part 6. The price and glory of carrying blue fire. Capricorn, the world sees the strength in your eyes. They admire your discipline. They lean on your wisdom. They call you solid, stable, strong. But very few ever ask, what did it cost you to carry that strength? Because blue fire doesn't come without a price. Before you became a light for others, you sat in the dark. Before your presence brought peace, you endured the chaos of your own mind. Before your words brought healing, you learned how to bleed quietly. There were nights when you were strong for everyone, except yourself. Days when you poured from an empty cup. Moments when you smiled in public, but fell apart in private. No applause. No thank you. Just quiet resilience. You carried people who would never carry you. You prayed for those who forgot to ask how you were. You stood in the fire for others, while no one saw you burning. And still, you never stopped showing up. That is blue fire. It is the grace to keep going when your legs are trembling. It is the decision to stay kind in a world that kept wounding you. It is the choice to hold the line when you're the only one left standing. Capricorn, the fire inside you is sacred because it was forged in silence. It was refined in abandonment. It was baptized in grief. That's why your strength doesn't feel loud. Because it's been earned. Carved into your bones. Etched into your breath. Grown through pain that no one saw, but God. Heaven didn't choose you because you were perfect. He chose you because you didn't give up even when you had every reason to. And now the time has come. The silence is breaking. The weight you carried in the shadows is becoming the crown you wear in the light. The price was high, but the reward is eternal. You will no longer beg to be seen. You will no longer shrink to fit in. You will no longer carry what doesn't belong to you. You will rise. You will speak. You will burn, not to destroy, but to light the way. And everything that once felt like suffering will become proof that you were never powerless. You were becoming holy. Life lesson. The highest fire comes with the heaviest silence. But what you carried in the quiet, God will now honor in the open. The ones who survive the fire are not just survivors. They are builders, healers, legacy makers. Capricorn, this is your sacred return. Not just to the world, but to yourself. Closing. This was never about survival. It was about awakening. Capricorn, if no one ever told you this before, hear it now. You were never powerless. You were protected. You were never average. You were being aligned. And the fire inside you, it was never lost. It was only waiting for this very moment. Because blue fire cannot be rushed. It cannot be explained. It must be lived. And now, it's time. You no longer need to apologize for your depth. You no longer need to shrink to survive. This is the season you burn brighter. Not to destroy, but to lead. Not to prove, but to embody. So right now, in the comments below, declare this. I carry the blue fire. I was never forgotten. I am ready now. Let those words anchor you. Let them awaken what was buried. Let them open the next chapter of your life, fully, boldly, without fear. And if this message stirred something deep in your soul, if it brought you back to yourself, subscribe. Don't walk away from the fire. Stay close. There's more to uncover, more to awaken, more to rise into. This is your time. This is your flame. This is your sacred return. And you're not alone in this journey. You've just found the place where your truth will always be honored. Welcome to Zodiac Secrets Revealed.